My router has just booted, and this is the message I'm receiving right now. It says System Configuration Dialog. Why am I receiving this message? And should I say yes or no? Well, yes or no is really up to you. And what do I mean by that? Well, the System Configuration Dialog is a mini setup wizard. It's a wizard that's going to walk you through a bunch of different questions. So what would you like to name your router today? What would you like to set up as maybe an IP address on a certain interface, or maybe an IP address for management purposes? There's a lot of different questions that you could be asked during this mini setup wizard. However, most of the time, we have a plan for our routers from the get-go, and that plan is going to have a document that is created in order for us to follow along once we want to configure that router. So in this case, I'm going to say no. I do not want to enter the initial configuration dialog and walk through the mini setup wizard because I already know what I want to do. It's documented. I'm just going to follow that documentation and do what it says. However, what I'm really more concerned about is why we're seeing the system configuration dialog right now. Do you know why? Think about that for a second. Why would I be receiving this message? Well, what is this router? It is a brand new router from Cisco. Would that router have any type of configuration set on it? Well, it would have a default configuration. But more specifically, is there a saved configuration on it that we have provided yet? And the answer to that is no. Where is our saved configuration on our routers? It's in NVRAM, non-volatile RAM. So the router boots up, loads the operating system, and then it's going to look in NVRAM for a startup configuration file. And in this case, it hasn't found any. And why hasn't it found one? Because it's a brand new router, right out of the box. So I'm going to see the system configuration dialog anytime there is a startup configuration file missing from NVRAM. So out of the box, there's definitely one missing from NVRAM. But let's now focus on when else this message might occur. Well, what if we had a configuration? Would this message show up? No, not at all, because there'd be a configuration file in NVRAM. Well, what if it was deleted? So if somebody accidentally or on purpose deletes the startup configuration file from NVRAM, you would receive this message if the router ever reloads. Right, so that's a problem. You definitely want to make sure you have an additional backup of your startup configuration file, because if it's deleted from NVRAM, you want to be able to import it, recover it from an external location. So system configuration dialog appears, brand new router, no startup configuration file, or maybe somebody deleted your configuration file from a perfectly fine router, and as a result of that, when it reloaded, you ended up with this message because it couldn't find the startup config. But what if the configuration file in NVRAM was corrupt, couldn't be read? Or what if NVRAM itself was corrupt and there was issues with it? Well, then there's nothing to load. There is no startup configuration file to load at that point in time, giving you this system configuration dialog message. But like I said, typically we're going to say no, and we're going to follow the document that we created on how we will configure R1 now that we receive it. So I'm going to type in no, I'm going to hit enter, and then the router is going to go ahead and continue loading itself and booting all its parameters that it needs to boot, so that way there we can now interact with it and configure it the way we need to configure it.